Imagine being so utterly exhausted, like entirely sleep deprived, that you start vividly dreaming while you're actually awake and walking across the freezing, wind-scoured peaks of the Himalayas.
Yeah. Or, picture facing down a massive 2-meter tall bear in the deep wilderness with absolutely zero intention of running away.
Right. I mean, it completely shatters our standard cultural image of meditation.
Oh, for sure. We usually picture a quiet room, maybe some calming incense, a perfectly folded cushion,
Yeah.
and an atmosphere of just like absolute comfort and insulation from the outside world.
Exactly. Well, welcome to this deep dive. We created this specifically for the Agama Meditation Center's Awaken Daily Life program. Today, we're exploring the profound, honestly, incredibly raw practice experiences of Venerable Dianwu.
Yeah, this is someone who walked thousands of miles across China and Tibet without a single coin in his pocket.
Just pushing his physical and mental limits to the absolute brink, really, to prove that real practice isn't just about finding calmness on a comfortable cushion. It's about how we meet profound difficulties.
Right. But before we go any further into the wilderness here,
Sure.
we really need to establish a very clear, firm boundary for this discussion.
Yes, absolutely. Crucial point.
Venerable Dianwu's extreme practices, the severe fasting, walking into blizzards, the extreme sleep deprivation. These are his personal spiritual crucible. They are absolutely not medical advice.
Right.
They are not health recommendations, and they really should not be imitated literally. I mean, please do not walk into the woods without food.
Don't do that. We are exploring his journey purely as inspiration. The goal here is to help sincere practitioners find courage and discipline in their own lives, applied according to your own physical and mental conditions.
Yeah, because studying someone who pushes the human body so far past its limit, it offers this incredible window into how we can handle our own daily frictions.
Exactly. If you want to understand how to stay mindful during, say, a really stressful meeting at work, or a bout of physical illness, looking at how someone stays mindful while hallucinating from exhaustion in the mountains.
It provides a pretty striking blueprint.
It really does. So let's start where Dianwu starts. Before we get to the bears in the Himalayas, the foundation of his entire practice begins with a seemingly mundane mental audit.
Right.
He calls his simplest method recollection.
Yeah, and recollection is essentially a really rigorous daily review. Dianwu teaches that every single evening, you need to sit down and meticulously replay your day.
Like step by step.
Exactly. Not just a vague summary. He means bringing it all back clearly.
Yeah.
Where did you go? What specific actions did you take? And most importantly, what passed through your mind?
Okay, wow.
Yeah, like what did you love today? What did you hate? What were you deeply attached to? And what caused you friction?
It sounds a bit like an athlete reviewing game tape after a match.
That's a great way to put it.
You don't just watch the highlight reel, right? You watch every misstep, every defensive reaction, just to see where your technique broke down. But I have to ask, how does this not just become exhausting? Because at the end of a long day, I mean, the modern instinct is to just zone out. We put on a show, we scroll on our phones, we purposefully try to forget the day.
Right. Yeah.
So why is forcing ourselves to watch the game tape of our own minds so critical for us right now?
Because zoning out is exactly how we cement our own suffering.
Oh.
Yeah, Dianwu points out that when we don't systematically review our days, our actions and thoughts just pass away in a blur. We lose all the nuances.
That makes sense.
The only things that actually stick in our memory are the extreme spikes of emotion, like what we really liked and what we really hated.
Right, so we lose the middle ground entirely and just become these, predictable reaction machines.
Worse than that, we become blind reaction machines.
Yeah.
If you don't observe the pattern of your attachments, you're guaranteed to repeat them.
Oof.
Right. The frustration you felt today, it'll happen again tomorrow in a slightly different disguise. The same reactions will appear next month and next year. Dianwu teaches that this blind, unexamined repetition is the very definition of samsara. It's a loop. If you just sit on a cushion and try to watch your breath without actively investigating your daily behaviors and attachments, your mind will basically either wander off or just fall into a dull stupor.
So you really have to break the autopilot.
Exactly.
And Dianwu has this fascinating framework for looking at how that autopilot functions over an entire lifetime. He breaks human development down into 10-year cycles, basically to illustrate the reality of impermanence.
Yeah, he uses these cycles to show how constantly we shift. He notes that the first 10 years of life are generally a period of dullness, like a time of fundamental ignorance and confusion.
Sure, you're a kid.
Right. Then the cycle from 10 to 20 shifts into a period of play and rebellion. You're caught up in fun, often totally ignorant of how your actions impact others, easily causing hurt.
I think we all remember being teenagers.
Oh, yeah. And then every 10 years after that, the body undergoes a profound change, and consequently, your actions of body, speech, and mind change right along with it.
He actually points out that if you look at a childhood photo of yourself, you have to realize that the child in the picture is quite literally not the same person you are today.
Right.
And it's not just a poetic metaphor about growing up.
No, it is a biological and psychological fact. I mean, he draws deeply on the teaching that the body is not a single, solid, permanent entity. It is a massive, shifting collection.
Right, the 80,000 households.
Yes. He describes the body as containing countless organisms, 80,000 households of them, countless pores, bones, flesh. Your cells are constantly dying and being replaced. Some parts of the body might fail entirely while others continue to function. The body is in a state of constant flux.
Which brings up a huge question. If the body isn't a permanent, solid self, then what exactly is suffering when we feel pain or hunger?
Right.
And Dianwu didn't just ask that as a philosophical brain teaser. He used that exact realization to justify stripping away his basic human comforts. Which kind of brings us to the physical battlefield.
Yeah, it's one thing to understand impermanence intellectually, but dealing with the screaming nervous system, that's another thing entirely.
For sure. And Dianwu approaches this with a very stark warning. He states bluntly, if you do not train and subdue the body will subdue you.
Yeah.
I hear that, but I mean, how does this not cross the line into self-punishment? In our current culture, we are hyper-focused on things like sleep hygiene, nervous system regulation, honoring our physical limits.
Absolutely.
So pushing yourself to the absolute brink, it sounds wildly radical, almost irresponsible to a modern ear. How do we square his warning with, not hurting ourselves?
Well, the crucial distinction here is that the goal isn't punishment. It is liberation from being controlled by your sensations. Dianwu is basically teaching us to deconstruct feeling.
Yeah, okay, deconstruct feeling.
Yeah. Because we don't deeply understand the impermanent nature of the body, our entire existence is essentially reduced to chasing pleasant feelings and running in terror from painful ones. We are held hostage by the demand for comfort.
So to break the hostage situation, you have to look directly at the ransom note.
I love that. Yes. You observe the feeling so closely that it disintegrates. When you look at physical pain or intense discomfort under the lens of deep mindfulness, you start to see that it isn't you.
Right.
It is simply vibration, heat, movement arising, and passing away in consciousness. Dianwu says that through this careful observation, even severe bodily discomfort can transform into a kind of joy.
Wow.
Because once you see it as just a passing energetic vibration rather than like a solid, terrifying threat to your existence, it completely loses its grip on your mind.
And to prove this mechanism to himself, he took on the two most intense feelings a human can experience, right? Starvation and sleep deprivation. Let's look at his walk from Mount Imai to Mount Wutai.
Oh man, that journey.
Yeah, that is a journey of over 1,000 kilometers on foot.
A journey he took through regions where he frequently encountered villages that were deeply hostile to monks. Like, no one would offer him food. He was forced to endure profound, scraping hunger while walking massive distances every single day.
And his reaction to the hunger is what reveals the mechanics of his practice. Because when the hunger hit its peak, he didn't sit down to conserve energy.
No, he didn't.
He wrote that he forced himself to walk faster. He literally walked until tears came to his eyes because his body felt so profoundly wronged. His nervous system was screaming at him like, what are you doing? We are starving. We need to stop.
Yeah, he was essentially overloading his own nervous system's danger signals.
Which sounds terrifying.
It is. But the brain sends out hunger pangs and pain, not because the body is dying at that exact second, but as a preventative alarm bell to force you to seek food.
Okay, right.
So by refusing to answer the alarm, by actually walking faster, he was proving to his primitive brain that hunger was just a sensation, not an immediate death sentence.
And once that panic response broke, something incredible happened. He noted that by keeping up that relentless pace, he eventually forgot the hunger. The body simply adapted, became entirely at ease, and just functioned.
He subdued the feeling by not bowing to it.
Wow. And he applied the exact same principle to sleep. which he viewed as this heavy master that wastes precious time and dictates our behavior.
Yeah, he trained for years to overcome dullness and drowsiness. He noted it was one of the hardest limitations to break.
Which culminated in his crossing of the Himalayas on foot. I mean, the sleep deprivation reached such an extreme level that the barrier between his subconscious and conscious mind just dissolved.
Right.
He started dreaming while he was wide awake and walking.
Yeah, the exhaustion literally forced his brain to project dreams directly into his waking reality. He began seeing vivid visions of the Buddha appearing before him. He heard strange sounds, people offering him food, voices talking to him in the desolate snow.
That is so intense.
He realized firsthand what ancient texts meant when they described practitioners being possessed or disturbed by visions.
How do you even survive that? I mean, when your own brain is projecting an altered reality in a landscape where one wrong step means freezing to death.
You anchor entirely in mindfulness.
Just mindfulness.
Yeah. He realized that no matter how magnificent or real the Buddha in front of him appeared, it was an illusion generated by a profoundly tired brain. So he refused to interact with the projections.
Incredible.
He said the sleepiness was so heavy, he felt he could have fallen at any moment. And he knew if he fell, he would never want to get up. But he trusted his observation of the present moment over the illusions.
And he pushed through that hallucinatory wall for 4 days. And on the 5th day, the dullness just shattered.
Completely vanished.
He experienced this complete breakthrough where the drowsiness vanished, leaving this clear, open space of awareness. Having conquered those intense internal alarms of hunger and sleep, he then turned his focus outward. He wanted to master his reactions to external terror.
Yeah, and this external testing ground actually stems from a foundational ultimatum he received when he was just 11 years old.
11?
Right. Dianwu was studying with his teacher, who was over 100 years old at the time. And the teacher presented the young boy with 2 paths for his training. He could become a meditation master or a Dharma teacher.
Both options were incredibly daunting. To be a meditation master, the teacher said he would need to spend years in strict monastery training, followed by 10 years in absolute hidden mountain seclusion, meaning nobody knows where you are, nobody brings you supplies, and you are entirely responsible for your own survival.
Right. And the second option, becoming a Dharma teacher, required walking to the 4 great Buddhist mountains on foot. But the rules were severe. You could not carry a single coin, and you were absolutely forbidden from staying in any monasteries along the way.
And the 11-year-old Dianwu looks at his century-old teacher and says, I choose both.
Yeah, he committed to both paths. And the walking pilgrimage, specifically that rule against staying in monasteries, proved to be a profound psychological test.
Why no monasteries, though?
Well, the teacher banned them because he understood the incredible danger of comfort. He warned Dianwu that if he stayed in a monastery, he would never complete the pilgrimage.
And Dianwu learned exactly why on his very first pilgrimage. He was exhausted, his feet were raw and covered in blisters, and he came across a welcoming monastery, and he went inside.
Yeah, he gave in.
The residents were kind, they offered hot food, the bed was soft and warm. And the next morning, his legs hurt so intensely that he almost abandoned his entire vow. The comfort was so seductive, it almost broke his resolve.
That single night proved how rapidly habits and dependencies take root in the mind. He remembered his teacher's warning, forced himself to leave immediately, and from that day forward, he never stayed in a monastery during a pilgrimage again.
It's a lot like an extreme form of exposure therapy.
Oh, absolutely.
We construct these massive safety nets in our lives, our houses, our bank accounts, our daily routines, and we convince ourselves we can't survive without them. By stripping away every single safety net, Dianwu was recalibrating his mind's threat response.
Right.
He was out in the elements, soaking wet, covered in dust, facing freezing winds with no food, looking like a totally pitiful person to anyone passing by.
But that constant exposure burned away his dependency. When you rely on nothing, it's completely fine if nothing is available.
Wow.
Courage is forged precisely in the absence of safety. And he needed that forged courage because the wilderness he walked through was not just uncomfortable, it was lethal.
Let's talk about that. While walking the Sichuan Tibet route, he encountered Maxiang, massive horse-headed bears. These are predators that stand around 2 meters tall, incredibly heavy, and capable of moving terrifyingly fast.
Yeah, he also faced packs of wolves in Xinjiang, along with massive pythons and highly venomous snakes.
And he was very open about his initial reactions, right?
He was. He admitted that when he first saw a bear, the terror was so profound he felt like his soul had left his body.
I mean, naturally.
Right. When he encountered snakes, his legs would go entirely weak, refusing to move.
but he didn't run. So what is the psychological mechanism there? How do you overcome the primal biological urge to flee from a 2-meter bear?
You observe the fear itself, just exactly as you observe pain or hunger. While living in the mountains, Dianwu contemplated the reality of impermanence. He realized that fear, at its absolute core, is just a subtle mechanism of self-protection.
Oh, okay.
It is the deep, quiet concept of I, trying desperately to defend itself from annihilation.
Oh, wow. But if you've already internalized that the body is just a temporary collection of 80,000 households constantly changing and replacing itself, then what is the bear actually threatening?
Exactly.
It's just nature interacting with nature.
Precisely. When the mind releases its tight attachment to that fabricated I, the fear simply evaporates. He reached a state where he no longer feared the venomous snakes. He would calmly pick them up to move them.
Unbelievable.
He stood his ground with the bears. He observed that if you close your eyes in meditation and still harbor that subtle hum of fear and self-protection, you cannot enter true samadhi deep meditative concentration. The fear acts as a barrier to stillness.
Which reveals this incredible irony in Dianwu's journey. He spent years walking tens of thousands of miles. He faced starvation, exhaustion, freezing mountains, and apex predators. And all of that relentless, extreme movement was ultimately preparation to do the exact opposite.
Right. To sit perfectly still.
Exactly. The walking pilgrimage was the fire required to forge the ability to truly sit.
Yeah.
So let's unpack the physicality of sitting meditation. Because anyone who has tried to meditate for more than 20 minutes knows that it physically hurts.
Oh, for sure.
Your knees throb, your lower back aches, your shoulders tense up. Why does Dianwu say that happens?
He explains it through the traditional lens of blocked channels. When you sit in meditation, the pain and discomfort arise because the body's channels are obstructed. The energy and blood are not flowing smoothly.
Okay, so it's a physical blockage.
Yeah, and if we translate that to modern physiology, think about the immense amount of tension we carry in our nervous systems and our fascia. Our muscles and tendons are full of stress and physical blockages. When you force the body to sit entirely still, you are suddenly confronting all of that accumulated backlog tension.
So sitting with discomfort is less like fighting an external enemy and more like recalibrating a hypersensitive smoke detector.
I love that analogy.
Right. Your brain thinks the stiffness in your knee is a fire, and the practice is just letting the alarm ring until the brain realizes there's no actual smoke.
Yes, exactly.
The pain isn't a sign that you are doing the meditation wrong. It's a sign that the body is finally attempting to open up and clear the bottleneck.
It is a process of deep physiological and energetic detoxification. And Dianwu's method for handling this is exactly the same as his method for hunger. You push the limit.
Just a bit more.
Right. Not recklessly, but with deliberate, steady effort. When the pain arises during your sit, you don't immediately shift your posture to seek comfort. You challenge your own limit, staying with the sensation just a little bit longer today than you did yesterday.
Which brings everything right back to you, the listener. You do not need to cross the Himalayas in the snow to engage in this practice.
No, thankfully.
When you are sitting on your cushion or even just sitting at your desk dealing with a wave of anxiety and that desperate urge to shift, to check your phone, to escape the discomfort arises, that urge is your wilderness.
That's beautifully said.
That friction is your practice ground.
And the reward for meeting that friction with steady patience is immense. I mean, Dianwu developed the capacity to sit in meditation for 10 days, sometimes up to a month, without getting up.
That is just staggering.
It really is.
Yeah.
And he describes the state that emerges when those physical and mental blockages are finally cleared as a state of supreme joy. You cultivate a deeply healthy body and a profoundly clear mind. He notes that when you break through those limitations, you become one of the happiest and richest people in the human world.
Because you have finally mastered the vehicle you live in, rather than being a hostage to its demands.
Exactly. And it's a mastery you have to earn yourself. Reading theory won't do it. Reciting mantras without focus won't do it. You have to personally face the discomfort of your own mind and body.
So to synthesize this entire deep dive, real practice is not about finding a perfectly calm environment. It is about bringing mindfulness and steady effort to our everyday difficulties.
Right.
Whether it is a highly stressful meeting, the physical discomfort of an injury, or just the powerful urge to hit the snooze button when the alarm rings, every single point of friction in your day is an opportunity to observe your reaction and choose not to be controlled by it.
There is one final, incredibly practical insight from Dianwu's travels regarding how we approach these difficulties.
Oh, yeah.
When he crossed into the remote Ngari region, he carried almost nothing. Just some sampa, which is roasted barley flour, and some strong-smelling yak butter.
Not a lot of supplies.
Not at all. He didn't have funding, and he didn't have a grand logistical plan. He observed that most people fail in their practice and in their lives because they make too many plans out of fear. Yeah, sometimes over-preparing is just another safety net. Eventually, you just have to start walking into the unknown.
You just have to take the first step. So here is a final thought for you to mull over as you go about your day. Think about your own daily routines. What is one small discomfort or one familiar, frustrating habit that you normally run away from or try to distract yourself from?
Yeah.
What would happen if, just for today, you turned toward it, sat with it, and observed it with genuine curiosity instead of fear?
One step at a time. We train the body, steady the mind, and learn to go beyond both.